Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to the A24 On the Rocks podcast. This is a podcast where you're going to find four friends with drink in hand going through every single A24 movie in order and giving our takes on them, just like everyone asked. So, on this episode, I'm going to introduce myself as Kelly. We do a rotating host, and that's going to be me this time for this review of Good Time. And I'm also going to let you know that I am drinking champagne with a splash of cranberry juice. After me, I want to introduce you to my other hosts, including my husband.
Hi there. I've drank a half bottle of Sprite of acid, and I am a little fucked up right now. I'm just kidding. I am just having Labatt Blue. I'm polishing off a few more of these that I had a week ago. So, Kevin, what are you drinking?
Good evening, world. It's Kevin K. Konachek, and tonight I am drinking Tennessee whiskey. That's right. I just got back from Nashville, and I picked up a bottle of Chattanooga whiskey, which is just some straight bourbon from the good old state of Tennessee. And it's on the rocks because that's the name of this podcast, and therefore I feel like I need to contribute to that. So, wow, what a surprise. Kevin's drinking whiskey.
Hey, it's Cole William Whitlock Gibson, your resident Alaskan/Canadian. I am drinking Noble Oak Double Rye, finished in a port. So it's got a little wine action going on in it. Feeling frisky, feeling free, feeling like I'm ready to have a good time, if you would dare say.
Fun fact, Cole, I just gave a bottle of Noble Oak away as a white elephant gift at a Christmas party.
I got this from my realtor, so apparently this is a really good gift-giving whiskey.
Look at that.
Apparently.
A24 on the rocks.
All right, audience. I hope you're all ready to have a good time too. And with that, we stop all the good time puns. Did you guys know that good time is a prison slang term?
Yes,
I did not actually.
I figured this out. Yeah,
No.
It means
As
when you're
somebody who's
in
been to
prison. It's when you're in prison, let out early because you served "quote unquote" good time.
Oh.
Connie may have been on parole.
Oh, I see that you may have read the same
So that
articles
leads
I
us
did
to believe.
discussing this
I listened
film.
to a podcast on it, and I heard that. So
That's the best way to consume media, I would argue.
yes.
Anyways, before I continue talking about this, I should probably tell you all, my dear audience, what this movie's about. And just so you know, spoilers abound ahead of time, and this is I'll tell you right now, it's a good movie. It's a Pattinson-led crime thriller, and if you have not seen it yet, go watch it, and then you can come back. You have my permission to return and listen to the rest of this discussion. But before that, and for the rest of us who have seen it and maybe need just the quickest little refresher on what it is about, it is a 2017 film about a botched bank robbery performed by two brothers. After younger brother Nick ends up in jail, older brother Connie embarks on a twisted odyssey through New York City's underworld to get his brother Nick out of jail. So, same question I always have to ask at the beginning of these discussions. Is this your first time watching it? Eric, I already know it's our second time. So, Kevin.
It was the very first time for me. So I treated this movie, just as I do almost every single one of our A24s, where I look up the next one on the list. I try to lead and read as little as humanly possible about the movie ahead of time. I don't like watching spoilers after, It Comes at Night? One of them that I watched the trailer and it completely led me in a different direction than what the movie was trying to do. And I blame the marketing team more than anybody else. So I stopped doing that. I'm done watching trailers before films because I don't want to have any sort of pre-bias whatsoever. And I want to enjoy the art for what it is. So no, I had no idea anything about this film. I had no idea that it was done by the Safdie brothers. So that means I did not know that it was done by the guys who brought Uncut Gems, even though I knew that Uncut Gems was a brilliant film. So I was going into it completely blind, and I'm so glad that I did.
Uncut
Yeah,
Gems.
I feel like it's like a reaction. Like, if you're not going to do that, then I will.
I
Cole,
watched
how
the
about
actual
you?
interview where she says that. It's insane. Anyway.
Cole, how about you? Have you heard of this movie before? Have you heard of the Safdie brothers before all this?
Yeah, so I had heard of the Safdie brothers. I had not seen this film. I have seen Uncut Gems, and I thoroughly enjoyed that, and I think Adam Sandler deserves an Oscar. God damn it, give it to him. But I didn't really have any notion or expectations about this film. The only thing I really knew is of the meme that Eric loves to share of Robert Pattinson just kind of standing in like a kitchen.
Better than you.
But with like a tracksuit on. But
that one too, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, a different one. A different
yeah,
meme from this film.
Because that one, the tracksuit one, is he was preparing for this film. Like, he was getting into the mood of being in this film.
It's like the behind
and
the
then
scenes.
I Am Better Than You one is also a great one.
Yeah, also good. But that's really my only expectation or like notion. And I am not one to like watch trailers for like these kind of films that I'm going into. So I like to go in blind and just kind of ride it out. So I was excited. And I love Robert Pattinson. I've been a real Robert Pattinson stan ever since The Rover.
Damn
I've
straight.
talked about how,
Straight.
Twilight, I think, really set an expectation for him that was like wrong. Obviously, I think everyone deserves their
It's
shot.
the fluorescence.
But man, he is such a good actor, and when I knew he was in this, I was ready. I was waiting for meth head Pattinson to come out, baby. I was
Cole,
excited.
I'm the same way. Like, I knew it was. I knew he
love
was in
Robert
it,
Pattinson.
and I was like, especially after a conversation after the Rover, how we all had the same freaking conversation. Like, we're all just like, dude, what the hell? And you've all seen The Lighthouse, and I haven't, so I know that's later on. But like, the fact that he hated being in Twilight as much as he did, I think, is really what jettisons this phenomenal performance after the fact. Like, there's so many interviews with him when people were talking about, how did you enjoy your Twilight experience? What did you think about this? And you could just see the hatred burning behind him. And he was just like, I'm so glad to be done with it. And he wanted to shed that sparkly, glittery fucking vampire shed so bad that he did something so brilliant. And every time he's on film, and this one included, is just so good. So, yeah.
To be
I'm a
fair,
stan.
if your girlfriend fucked the director of the film you were in, like cheated on you and fucked the director, I think I would also hate being in that film too. So,
Oh, that happened?
that did happen.
Well,
Kristen
I mean,
Stewart.
so much I know.
Yeah.
I guess.
Sorry,
I
we're
didn't
taking over
realize he
Kelly's
dated
episode
Kristen
here with
Stewart.
our ranting about Pattinson love.
It's okay. The film was written for him. Did you guys know that?
I didn't.
Fun
Tell
fact.
me more. Really?
Yeah, so Josh Safdie, who wrote this with Ronald Bronstein, they worked together with Pattinson in mind. And when they were on... So a lot of this movie was also shot on scene. And when they were kind of scoping out all of these scenes and everything, Josh kind of describes Pattinson as someone who's been walking through life trying not to be seen, as it just comes through his level of fame, and that he has an almost PTSD type reaction from his Twilight stardom. So it makes me curious how many other actors that have been like lifted up into this kind of role like Pattinson was with Twilight, like how many of them kind of went through the same thing. I feel like when I think about Swiss Army Man and that being like my like Daniel Radcliffe.
That was the first name that came to my head too. Was Daniel
like
Radcliffe.
post Harry Potter experience. And then there was a time he was on a stage play where he went completely nude after.
Just hanging ball, man.
Yeah,
Wait, Daniel
so
Radcliffe
both of
did, or
these,
Daniel Radcliffe,
Robert Pattinson?
yeah.
Oh,
Daniel
okay.
Radcliffe.
So
oh,
both of these actors do that. I wonder like
I
how
tried
many
to
other
get
times
tickets.
this is a thing. But because I think Josh saw that in Pattinson and they kind of like sought him out. The film wasn't even fully written by the time they got him to sign on to go ahead and make this movie as well. I think that because they saw that in him, he was able to portray this character so very good. So that's a spoiler for me of I already think that he did a really great job. So we will continue to talk about Pattinson and the amount of fame that he's like a method actor in more ways than one. Also, another fun fact I learned is that he stayed in method while they were shooting this movie because they needed to keep him anonymous and keep the crowd from recognizing him. So all of these kind of fun facts I came up with. Cole, what did you read? What you learn?
Well, I read that I know you talked about how they like wrote the film for him, but I also read that they pretty much only wrote the film for him in terms of the script, where he was the only person that was given a script. Him and his brother were the only ones with like scripted roles. Everyone else was just improv and reactionary, to the point where even like the person who was the Bond's agent, they originally were going to have someone else play the person for the Bond agency, but they didn't think it was real enough, and they just used the guy who they were using his agency as a filming location, and they just asked him and his wife, who run the agency, if they would just be in the film and just be their actual role. And so like those people were just real life, and like the cops in the mall chase scene are actually just cops in real life. Like this whole film is just filmed in like actual locations with actual people, and there's like 2 or 3 actresses,
which
or actors.
I love. They go on record and saying
Krisha.
they filmed in all 5 boroughs, and they were super proud of that fact. And I'm sure we've read that, but like the fact that they were able to go to all 5 and they were able to have meaningful on-site location shots in all of these places, and they wanted to make them all iconic,
public,
right?
too.
They wanted to make sure that every scene that they were using was something that could stick out as a story on its own, and I thought that was just fucking brilliant in itself. So just good attention to detail in the best level.
So, Eric, what kind of impact on the movie do you think this made, them having less script written for these non-actors as well, and all of these ancillary characters throughout the movie? Do you think that this was a good move by them, and why?
I think so. I could probably tell that there was definitely some improvisation done, but this film definitely wanted to give you anxiety, wanted to have a lot of things just going on all at once, and so I feel like maybe some of these actors like Pattinson read a few lines, and then like, for example, in that bail bond scene or something, I could totally see Jennifer Jason Leigh's character just like screaming in the background, and that was all being improvised or something. But I think it was good because they were going for anxiety. They were going for people talking all at once, making you feel claustrophobic, and also that feeling of like New York City where you're walking around and it seems there's just like 10 things going on at once. And for people outside of New York City, that will give you a whole lot of like nerves and everything. But when you're living in New York City, then it feels just right. Like that feels like home to you. There's always just 10 things going on all around you, and that's just the norm.
So when you mention how the film's made to make you experience anxiety, Cole, did you have that experience watching this movie, and what kind of technical aspects did they use in this movie to invoke that feeling?
Yeah, as a real life human being with anxiety, this movie put me through the ringer. And before I watched this movie, I did not realize they were the same director as Uncut Gems. And throughout my film, watching this, I was just like, man, talk about A24 getting me all like anxious and stressed the fuck out. These guys, between this movie and Uncut Gems, and then I find out it's the same guys, just like, well, these people are my nightmare. These people just want me to be like, have a BPM of 120 and watch this thing and have a heart attack, because the whole entire time I'm just stressed out. But at the same time, I love it because, again, it's like the slice of life capture, and they're stressing me out. And just working in construction, I deal with a lot of people that have been arrested or have done unsavory things throughout their life, and they always have interesting stories. And some of them, one of my like favorite employees, he's a laborer for us, and he's awesome, but he was a con man back in Jersey, and he went to prison for like 10 years for it. But he is probably one of the smartest and quick-witted people I've ever met, where like if something happens, he has like a quick turnaround. He always knows what's going on. He's very like spatially aware, and he reminded me a lot of our character Robert Pattinson, where just like you watch him operate and you're almost in awe of how he's able to just like navigate through these situations and talk his way out, and he's just like so fast and so quick-witted. It's just like amazing. And I can't even remember what your question was, to be honest, but I just
in addition to just kind of like that emotive impact it gave you, I'm thinking like what kind of like technical ways did like maybe the camera work
I
to
think,
kind of like enhance that effect?
Yeah, I think like the color and the way that they use the cinematography really told a very good story with the colors and the contrast and kind of the situation that they used throughout, with a lot of the red lighting and the even like the black lighting and some of the contrast with the clothing and stuff like that. And through like the robbery scene, I thought they did a very good job with that, where it's just like it's very quiet and very still, but there's just so much tension as they're essentially robbing a bank, but no one's talking, and he's like doing the gesturing, and they're passing notes back and forth, and just the tension building without saying anything is just masterclass. I mean, like I don't know. It's very impressive, and I'm kind of saddened almost in a way that I hadn't watched this film, or I had heard about it, but I had never seen it, and I wish people had spoken more about it, because I think it, maybe deserved it. But we'll see what my review is, I guess.
Kevin, kind of the same question for you. I want to know if it kind of had the same emotional impact on you. And in addition to maybe the camera work, maybe talk about how that soundtrack enhanced that feeling as well.
All right, like Cole, I am also a human with anxiety. So watching this film, and we'll jump into the soundtrack right away because you asked and I wrote lots of notes about it. We get really some just insanely good music in this film. We have a score that is composed by, I'm going to try this right here, Ananotrix Point Never, who's an EDM electric artist who did the entire soundtrack for this film. And there was so many times when I'm writing this notes where I'm just like, soundtrack feeds to the motion, feels the tension, builds the moment. Soundtrack is back. Like the fact that it was omnipresent throughout this entire film from start to finish was so brilliant to me. There was so many uses, and I can't wait to watch this film again where I can actually like hone in on the soundtrack even more than I did the first time. But I've listened to it today a lot already on Spotify, just as the album. And I had this same exact feeling when I finished Swiss Army Man, when I went, oh man, that's an album that I could listen to in my car. I could listen to that just by itself. I used to listen to a lot of like Knight Rider music, like night tracks, stuff that you would like listen to trance and synth music as I was driving home from my third shift job. And like, so that had an emotional pull on me. And they did such a great job of using it in beats, heartbeats, to be able to use an ambient noise to add a bass line to something is just so great. And then you can integrate it with this film. I honestly felt like the music was almost just as much of a focus for these guys as some of the scenes itself. Like it was like they made it so intentional, so insanely on the point where it was like obvious that it wasn't just in the background. So many times when you watch film, the music or the soundtrack is just behind it. But in this movie, it was so front and center. Every time you had a drone shot where you had to pull away from the car chase or a long away shot, that driving synth music was so loud and so in your face, and so like, I'm here, you can't ignore me, and therefore you have to make me part of the movie, that I loved it. And they moved it throughout all of it, like from the slow times to the intimate times to the action-packed times, all the way through to the beginning to the end. Like they interwove it throughout all of that, and that was incredible. As far as the filming techniques that I really enjoyed, I liked the up close and personal fact that they had with the camera, where you literally got nothing but essentially the face of your subject, truly emoting, speaking, even if it was the grotesque face of, I think Ray, is that the character's name? Yeah, or the taxi cab driver as he's screaming at an individual, or whatever it may be, just like the close-ups that made you feel every inch and every iota of that person's expression, just brought it all together for me. So I loved it. I thought that the techniques that they used to enhance the anxiety and the stress and the emotion of the scene made me feel so much that I know I keep echoing your final review when we get to it, but I love it so much because when your movie makes you feel, you just want to latch onto it as much as humanly possible. And this one really did that for me.
Yeah, I'm with you where it's just my personal taste for that soundtrack alone. Like, even if it wasn't, to me, like a perfect mix for this movie, like perfectly incorporated. And like you said, they use it almost like a character where it becomes so loud at these points of action. And then when, like Cole had mentioned, there's areas where it goes out. And so they juxtapose both of those. So Eric, it was like an example of like some of the editing, but I think the editing is a huge aspect of this movie. I mean, everything that goes into a movie is a huge aspect of it. But this movie's got such a unique look and feel and pacing and a kind of plot that continues to go up and up and up and up. What are your thoughts on maybe some of the editing behind that? And if you wanted to talk about something else, then don't let me lead you astray.
Yeah, I wanted to lead with a quote by Stanley Kubrick. And the quote is, "A film is, or should be, more like music than like fiction. It should be a progression of moods and feelings. The theme, what's behind the emotion, the meaning, all that comes later." And that, I feel, is just a great way to describe this film. It's supposed to be, you think about the meaning and the emotions that you're feeling during the whole film. You think about that later. You are just there for the trip. You are just like laying down in the Clockwork Orange chair with your eyes stripped open. People are feeding you eye drops as you just like consume this film. And yeah, the editing, fast cutting, close-ups, fast moving cameras, fast zoom-ins, all of that is just so well done to make you feel like what it's like to be constantly on the run after you've committed a crime in New York City. And I almost feel like when we watched Oppenheimer in 75mm, completely different film, but it's like, because the screen was just so like huge, I didn't even notice everything going on the screen. It just felt like somebody was just jamming Hawaiian pizza into my mouth. They were just like, I don't care if you like this or not, you're gonna have all the fucking pizza that I can give you. I'm gonna keep jamming it into your mouth, and you better fucking swallow it. And that's what I think the Safdie brothers were doing to us.
Wow, that's a hell of an analogy, sir. Hell of an analogy.
Yeah. Makes it sound like a bad thing almost.
And I love Hawaiian pizza, so you can just
this is more of like a pizza that I would like. I don't mind Hawaiian pizza, I guess.
That's
but
good. You're not one of those people.
But like, I'll just say, a good pizza that I like just jammed into my mouth over and over again, and I have to swallow it.
Okay, this is getting inappropriate.
Clip that, and I'll play it later.
This is getting inappropriate.
Pervert.
Okay.
Pervert.
I'm distracted. I'll jump back in a second.
Okay, let's all take a drink together. Cheers.
Okay. So in addition to kind of that editing, that kind of like being force-fed the movie in a way, is that a good way of describing what you just said, Eric?
Among other things.
So if we're being kind of force-fed the film in that way, I think that we would be remiss to not acknowledge the fact that this, at the end of the day, this movie is full of a lot of pretty heavy and real themes. I think that it would do a disservice if we, of course, don't discuss some of those that were being force-fed. It's a ideological movie in a lot of ways, in the sense that it is feeding you these kind of concepts that you can't be allowed to look away from. One of the first, the movie is bracketed in two different scenes of the younger brother, Nick Nikas, played by Benny. Is he called Benny Safdie? He goes by Benny.
Safdie.
Yeah.
I love that.
Benny.
So Benny Safdie plays Nick Nikas, who's the younger brother. He has a mental disability and impaired hearing. And by bracketed, it begins and ends with him having a therapy session. First a one-on-one and then a group session. Fun fact about the psychiatrist, he is played by a real-life criminal defense lawyer who represented both the actor who plays Ray and Josh Safdie himself, who was arrested, I think either before around the time of the film, doesn't divulge the details, but he was represented by the man who plays the therapist as well.
I only want to interject.
That said,
so
yeah.
I know you might share this or not, but wasn't the actor who did Ray, wasn't he pulled off the street to do his first role by the Safdie brothers in his original first debut?
He's an associate of theirs, and they have another movie.
So he was a real-life drug addict, right? And they used his real-life lawyer in this film as the psychologist?
Yeah, so the other movie that he was used in that he was in is called Heaven Knows What.
That's
in
what it is,
addition to him was Khalif, his real-life associate in both the movie and I think in life, who's a New York hip-hop artist.
Talk about slice of life, Cole.
Who goes by Necro.
Holy shit, this is like the real fucking deal.
This is what I wanted.
Yes.
So good.
So all this said, while I get back to my bracket about bracketing,
Kelly, I'm so sorry.
It's just no, don't be sorry. This was me when I was like looking into this movie, is every single time I opened up one rabbit hole of, well, where did this actor come from? It's like, it's all very, very real, just like the commentary that's being explored. So I think I'm going to throw it right back to you, Eric. What kind of commentary do you think the Safdie brothers really kind of want to get across when it comes to the inclusion of the brother being disabled in this way specifically? I don't know. Does that strike anything for commentary?
Yeah,
on
I
your
just
part?
feel like we focus so little on the little brother. Like, he's really only in the film for maybe 10 minutes total. So, like, I'm not sure what they were trying to say overall by starting and ending with him, other than the fact that I feel like Connie ended up helping him in some roundabout way in the end. But I do feel like this is just kind of a comment on the things that the lower class needs to do to get ahead or to get a foothold in society when you're already not on third base. What would be the opposite? When you're two strikes and when you have two strikes and you're born with two strikes. And I'm pretty sure that Connie and
Nick's the brother.
Connie and Nick, I'm almost positive that their parents were addicts and or are dead, and that is why Connie is so judgmental of Ray whenever he heads to the booze. And I think that also, Connie's on parole, but they were probably raised lower class by their grandma, and this whole film is that like him trying to get ahead, get to that farm in Virginia, get out of their circumstances that they're in, and they're going to do anything that they can to get out of it. And unfortunately, Nick is developmentally disabled, and Connie is just kind of using him at the start to get as a means to an end. But although I do feel like he wants to bring him to Virginia too, but I do think that he takes advantage of him and manipulates him from the very start.
Fair enough. Lots of themes to be discussed. And Kevin, it looks like you want to kind of talk about some of those themes as well.
I'm not even sure what I want to talk about here in this circumstance, but I kind of want to take what Eric mentioned there about Nick himself. So initially my thought on this movie was about Nick, and it was about a story about him, even though he was involved so little because of the book ending and because of the way it motivated our main character. But at the same time, now that Eric kind of breaks that down and how it's a commentary on poverty and it's a commentary on these other themes, I almost retract that thought, and it was, no, it necessarily isn't about Nick's character. It's about all of these other things that go into it. But he's so real and he's so real life, and if anyone has ever had any interaction with developmentally disabled individuals or has had an opportunity to just be around folks that just want to be happy and want to live, then you can really empathize with that character. I don't know what I really wanted to say in this statement other than it was just kind of eye-opening that this movie has a bunch of different themes, even though it truly does focus on some central characters. We could just expound upon this endlessly, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Cole, do you want to weigh in on this at all? On either this theme or any other themes that you kind of just want to bring up and discuss?
I feel like this, I guess like the way I took the theme of the film is that Nick was he had a disability, and family tends to, you always talk about how blood is thicker than water, and family is, you're supposed to love and respect your family and all that stuff. But I feel like this film kind of took that and showed you the opposite, where Nick was, he had the disability, and he loved his brother and trusted his brother so much to the point that it put him in such a bad situation that he had no idea what was going to happen, and was used and abused in his brother, who he trusted and loved, and had almost, that phone call had taken his grandmother, who had the best intentions for him, and made him think that his grandmother was the worst thing for him, and that Connie was the only one really looking out for him, when Connie was just using and abusing him. And I took it as kind of like a commentary in terms of like family, where not every family member is going to be a good person. Like I think it's very rare to have a complete family that doesn't have some fuck ups in it, right? And they will use that family connection against you. And you need to be mindful and be aware of those situations, because it can end poorly, just like in Nick's case. And I think it's more of a like a slice of life of just a warning of family's great, but you need to set boundaries, and you need to not let family member put you in bad situations.
Yeah, amen. And I think that that's something that I wrote down. I think it's strengthened by the last song in the soundtrack, when the credits roll, which I kind of rewrote and quoted, but I'm going to do that later in this review, just like they did it later in the movie, because I think it's such a strong bookend. But I definitely think that one of the themes that I had written down for this movie is that love is still love even when it's toxic. And I think that Connie is somebody who has a very destructive type of love, and he's a very manipulative, sociopathic person. I think that another theme is that he kind of manipulates you, the audience, as well, and pulls the wool over your eyes and makes you root for him. And it's like you watch him do all these horrible things and crimes, and take advantage of the vulnerable in situations, take advantage of anyone, really. Just this, because it supports this other theme of avoiding consequences at all costs, to the point of just like desperate actions. And then I think, while I'm still talking themes, there's a huge commentary I think that they're trying to make about our prison system, our justice system, how very, very broken it is. It's nothing new that nobody hasn't heard before or been witness to or been a victim of. But I think that brokenness can also be mirrored in our family systems, and they bring up all of these points, in the meantime being like one of the most fast-paced, crazy thrillers I've ever seen in my life. It makes me think of all of this kind of just like...
I just want to echo that right there.
Yeah,
you exactly said it. The idea that this movie can make you feel on a visceral level from a thematic standpoint of like truly thinking about your relationship with family and friends while having such a ridiculous pace is a true work of art. Truly. They have found a way to do something like, I mean, I can't say unique in the sense that like, I don't know all of the history of film, but like it felt so refreshing, so different, even from the title tracks. We haven't really mentioned it, but like the way that they did the way they waited until you scrolled across Good Time, or the way they waited for the title track of the cast and characters, like 5 minutes in, 6 minutes into the film, and all of a sudden now we're seeing this crawler, which you're so used to seeing at the beginning of film. They knew they were doing something different. They knew they were doing something super unique, but they also knew they were doing something really important from a thematic standpoint that was going to make their audience feel. And if they didn't know it, well, they figured it out very soon after editing it, because goddamn did they figure it out quick.
Yeah, Eric.
So, like, Richard Brody of The New Yorker called this an instant crime classic in the age of Trump. And I feel like that's kind of an interesting thing to look at, is that I think this film and a lot of films around this time period, 2016, 2020, focused a lot on lower class white people, and they came at it from a point of class consciousness and trying to understand these people and how they have gotten themselves into the trouble that they've gotten themselves into, trying to give them a second look. Like, I feel like this Connie is one of Hillary Clinton's deplorables, you know, like this is the kind of person that she was talking about when she said, you know, deplorables. And this film and a lot of other films specifically from this time period, also after Bernie Sanders ran for president and kind of gave a lot of people more class consciousness to think about in the general public, it takes a second look at the white lower class, and it like asks, how do these people like get to the points of where they're at? Why, you know, like a guy like Connie, who is just constantly in and out of jail, struggling and trying to get a leg up and get out of the situation he's in. But also, he's not a good guy. Like, he's not a good guy by any imagination. Like, I think we root for him because there's so much anxiety built up, and we just want to get out of the anxiety, and we just want to follow him on whatever journey that this film puts us on, because it almost feels like Grand Theft Auto in a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
so we just want to keep following him.
Why does 2016 feel like forever ago? Is that to anyone else?
I
Like,
know.
you just mentioned that
Trauma,
in Trump
that's
era.
why.
Wait. Oh, wait. Holy shit, that's really that forever ago
Yeah.
when this all started.
Pre and post COVID, man. I mean, like,
Oh my
that's like
God.
the way I think
The
sometimes.
insanity's
where-
been around for this long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're getting close
And I guess,
to a
like, I don't-
decade.
Maybe I'm constantly thinking about like pop culture and how things changed post 2016 after Trump and also after Bernie Sanders too. Like, I
You're
feel like
telling me,
things
man.
changed because
Yeah.
of him in the general public. And I do think this is a film that it became even more interesting to make after all that happened.
It's so
So,
weird.
yeah,
Sorry, I don't want
I-
to cut you off, but like, sorry, 2017, after all of this happening, I didn't even, when I was viewing this film, I did not think about it. I did not put together that that was the way the country was starting to move. And you're 1,000% correct that this is a very detailed commentary on some of that. Whether it was intentional or not doesn't fucking matter. The fact that we can look at it now and being like, yeah, this is the cycle of the criminal justice system, the cycle of poverty, the cycle of all of these fucking things that we're seeing. That's just mind blowing. Sorry, I didn't mean to rant, but like, wow.
No, and I also like, you know, I say he's one of Hillary Clinton's deplorables. I bet you Connie doesn't even vote, you know, but like, I think this is like a focus on, yeah, like white lower class people and like the predicament that I feel this country has put them in with their economic system. It focuses on them as they're just as important as anyone else in this country too. So
Yeah. So I read that article as well, and my initial reaction was that I felt like that statement was kind of like shoehorned into the movie. And I didn't think that it really had anything to do with Trump or politics in that regard. Because I was like, these
it's more of
systems
the time
exist.
we're in, I feel, but yeah.
No, I understand. And that's where I'm kind of getting to, is that my initial reaction was like, all of this exists regardless of politics, but also politics could help to fix it. And politics could help in a lot of ways. So while I initially opened that article and like maybe even kind of scoffed upon reading it, and he gave two examples. One being that there's this the scene, and we need to like break down this scene too. When they go to the playground, basically the theme park or the amusement park. This whole switcheroo happens, and the teenage girl that Connie brings along with him, she gets arrested, the security guard gets arrested, and it can't be gone without seeing that Pattinson is a white guy and both of these other people are black, and the cops are white. And I think that that's a commentary that when I watched it the first time, I didn't even really address the fact that like the cops don't even ask questions. They don't look at his fist after they see that the other guy's been punched like to the brink of like absolute pain or anything. They don't check anything. They're just like moving on, and we'll put these people in prison. So that kind of thing I definitely think was like a commentary. And then you have Connie turn right around, and he does not recognize in a way that has any meaning to us because he's just constantly moving forward. Anyways, no reflection. But when he looks at Ray and he says, you just like live off of your mother, you live off of your friends,
Leech
you live
of
off
society.
of the government, you're a leech.
Yeah.
Like, I am better than you. He continues to live on thinking that because of his wit, his intelligence, everything that happens to him isn't anything except for his own actions make everything good happen. And anything that bad happens to him is someone else's fault. So I think that's a good... I think by the end of it, I agreed with that.
And well, what I also think though too is that what I've heard is that anywhere from maybe 1% to 5% of movies that like the rights get bought to, like the screenplay rights get bought to, maybe only 1% to 5% of those movies actually get made. And so like, would this movie get greenlit, in 2010 or 2008? Maybe not. I don't think so. I think that there was more of an interest in these kind of films post 2016. That's kind of the point I was making too. So
yeah, and it's almost a character study in the same way that like Fight Club was like of its time, right?
yeah,
Like that can't really exist before or after when Fight Club comes out. I think Good
Yeah.
Time is kind of an example of that as well. Cole, you like thriller movies, don't you?
I sure do.
Do you like it when thrillers kind of take the sociopath and make them your hero?
I think if done correctly, it's awesome. I think, you kind of follow, like, the main character is almost the bad character. I think that's such a cool and unique way to portray, and if they do it properly, it's phenomenal. I think a lot of films try and don't do it very well. However, I think this film does a good job where you follow this person who is just chaos and just brings like a cloud of, bad juju with them and negatively impacts everyone they talk to. And they are like, they're so good at thinking on their feet and getting into situations for themselves. And these people that just are there almost as bystanders just get caught in the fire, so to speak. And I think it's especially in this film, it's so interesting. And so I really like it. I like it a lot because it just shows how something as innocent as someone's grandmother inviting someone in because it's cold outside to use their phone results in them essentially getting arrested as a 16-year-old girl who didn't know what was happening. Or, a guy who gets out of prison, has a little too much fun, gets, sent to the hospital for a self-inflicted wound, essentially, because he was drunk and didn't want to go to jail and jumped out of a cab. And, that results in him essentially losing his life because of this guy's choices. And it's just like so many things happen. And it's just like, it's so grounded and so, again, like slice of life that I don't know. I kind of fell in love with this film and that character. But at the same time, I hate that character because of how he just ruins so many people's lives.
if I met him in real life, I would not enjoy to be around him. No way.
Oh, yeah.
But I enjoy watching him in this movie.
Let's discuss this a little bit. So Kelly called him a sociopath, right? That's Kelly's diagnosis, or anybody else's diagnosis. I'm here to argue a little
I
bit
love
of
to
difference.
diagnose people from outside their life.
I think that this character is a
astrological
codependent sociopath. Not a sociopath, right? Who loves themselves more than
Sociopath is like you don't care what you do to other people. Like you.
What's the one where you're like, I'm the most important narcissist? That's a codependent narcissist. Thank you. Who feels like every action that he does is the best action for himself, his family, and for everyone involved, because he can rationalize every single thing that he does in one way or another. He's the type of character that goes, God bless you. Why does he say that? Because God gives him permission to allow these things to happen. Or if he has some sort of ability or realizes that religion invokes some sort of emotion in folks. So when he's apologizing for things, he also knows that saying God bless you allows it to go farther, to make it more apparent of whatever he's saying. Does he have a whole lot of sociopathic tendencies? Absolutely, he does. But I do think that his emotion and his love for his brother is unique and real. It's really real. I wrote down in that scene right after the robbery, he's like, "You are incredible," right? That motion where he's like, there was just true joy. That performance by Pattinson is just absolutely brilliant. It's just like, you can look at it and you go, there was something as if that actually just happened, right? So you're watching a movie and you question, would this have happened in real life if someone was actually doing this? Is how you would approach it. And it was just so good and so awesome. And I'm not even sure where this rant is going, other than that's just kind of my take. He is not a likable character, but at the same time, he is. And I won't ruin it. We'll talk about the end here in a little bit. But I think that this film asks you, what are the characters thinking? A lot. What are they feeling? And if a movie can do that, that's brilliant. Because not only you're asking yourself that, but you're asking the characters on the screen. You want them to ask you. They want to answer. They would come out of the screen and like actually tell you what they're thinking, but they're not going to. And that's what makes this a brilliant fucking film. I love this podcast. I love all of you.
Eric,
I'm a little drunk. I'm sorry.
And Eric, that's kind of what I want to ask you as well, when it comes to what are these characters thinking? I think that there's more than two ways to look at Connie, but I had one way that I looked at him on first watch, and I didn't love the film so much on the first watch. I just felt like I was not able to breathe on the first watch, and I wanted Nick to be saved, was how I felt. And every single thing that happened was just getting me further away from resolution, and every person that got in the way was just another thing slowing it down. So I just wanted a relief the first time. Second time I'm watching it, I have a different opinion on Connie, and also a kind of a different thought on that whole movie. But Eric, while I'm tangenting, what I really wanted to do was ask you a question. About Connie at the end, he gets arrested. He's in the back of a cop car, and we get a camera shot not unlike Krisha's long stare straight into the camera, where Pattinson is staring at us through the cop car, like, whatever, cage, that separates the front and the back. Really powerful soundtrack as well, and his expression, is he, and feel free to choose a third option, A, contemplating all these decisions that he's made and realizing the impact that he has done in this 24-hour odyssey, and he just watched a man die. He's also probably responsible for that first cab driver dying when the dye bag blew up and causing a 16-year-old to lose her innocence to an extent where she got arrested, sending another guy on a drug-induced coma, probably, if not worse. Lots of things. He caused a lot of things to happen, and he didn't get any closer to saving Nick, so he's either contemplating, or B, he is furious that he's been caught because he has a god complex, and he really thought that he was going to get away with things at the end. Or C, is there maybe a different option?
I mean, I don't know about furious. I almost felt like he was just like, it's like a kid that had a temper tantrum and then somebody, like the doctor sits on him and has to give him a shot. That's what I kind of felt like that was like, where he is just like,
I still be raging, like, outwardly, right?
Well, and then I think he's like forced to calm
down.
down. Like, I have nowhere to go now. Because I think this whole film, he is constantly hustling, scheming, and that's like who he is. He's a hustler schemer. That's very common in New York City. He's average Queens guy. That's just like, I need to constantly think, hustle, scheme, and that's why he thinks he's better than other people, I guess, is like he's always motivated, thinking about more, hustling, and then when he finally gets caught, I think he's just like, well, I'm kind of fucked now. I'm gonna serve probably because okay, I think maybe it was this other podcast I was listening to. They said like 5 to 10 years in jail. I think he's probably going to serve more like 20 years in jail for all the shit he did.
I read a YouTube comment that split up every single crime that he committed with the possibility of how many years he would be facing. It's something like 40 plus, but the last thing that they had listed was bleaching your hair without toner is a lifetime crime.
Yeah. But like, okay, we know that he kind of does the right thing in the end with Nick, where he says like, I manipulated him. I forced him to be in this bank robbery with me. He did not know the full scope of what he was doing. And obviously once he got it in front of a judge, the judge probably could see that Nick did not really know what he was doing either. So Connie, he's definitely a narcissist, sociopath, but like when he gets arrested, I think he is going to be forced to face with I don't think he will actually have remorse for everybody he hurt, but he's going to be forced to face with the brutal reality of having to be in prison for 20 more years. And he's, I think, only going to care about his family. And I think that's all he really cared about. He did manipulate his brother and force his brother in that bank robbery, but I think he did want to get his family or just his brother to Virginia, and to live a better life. He himself probably wanted to live a more better life without thinking what would actually be good for Nick. So, yeah, I think it's a very complex character, which is awesome. So,
yeah, would Connie ever really be happy just on a farm in Virginia himself, not living the hustle life?
No.
Yeah, probably not. But I think that's what he thinks. Hey, that's my like gold on the other side of the rainbow, I guess.
Yep. All right, I want some final thoughts from all you guys. I know there's so much more that I want us to touch on, but a podcast can only be so long.
What?
At this point, I'm thinking let's both wrap in kind of final thoughts, things I didn't touch on, and then I want you to give your review right after, babies. So any final thoughts?
Yeah. I have lots of final thoughts. I don't know if I can do this all right now. Cinematography, phenomenal. These shots, we already kind of touched on it with some of the things that made us feel anxious, and I guess that's kind of what makes cinematography brilliant. But it's some of those massive wide shots with the drones when you're pulling away from the cars driving, or even kind of the drone shot from the immediate start, even all the way to juxtapose it. The next scene we see is the close up of Nick's face as he's in it is just, it's phenomenal. So the way that they did the filming in this movie, I just really freaking loved. The other things I want to touch on a little bit is slice of life. Cole, I was thinking about you this whole time. Literally, this entire movie, I was like, Cole's gotta fucking love this, because like I could just literally see any of these things happening at any point in time. Like all of the things depicted in this movie are things that probably have happened in anything in any place in New York City at any given day. It's real life. There is people running in and out of the hospital system, out of the jail system. You have all of these disadvantaged folks that are just dealing with the system, and this movie just made that so unique and cool for a lot of different reasons, and that's really all I got there.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk about the screenplay a little bit, just how fucking hilarious this screenplay was. He tried to break his brother out of the hospital, and then it ends up being somebody completely different.
Oh, yeah.
Like that is a great, like,
big
throwing
reveal.
a fucking wrench into, like a plan, throwing a complete wrench into your plans.
We didn't even talk about the reveal at all until right now. Like, that just shows you the level of this movie, like the huge fucking twist. We're like,
So
by
hilarious.
the way, this happened.
Yeah,
What?
and then that montage scene after, like, we meet Ray, of him talking about getting out of prison, just fucking chugging a pint, meeting up with his friend, who gives him more booze, gives him Xanax, and then apparently he goes to a drug dealer's house, probably, he has sex with somebody right in front of the drug dealer while this guy's making acid. He takes acid, he goes to a fucking arcade, and his pupils are, like, the size of saucers, and then just he had to like run out of the arcade, run through Adventureland. Like, what is this montage? Might be one of my favorite montages.
It just keeps going.
In film of the last like 25 years. Then he jumps out of the taxi going 60 miles per hour, and then the makeup job on his face is so good. It's so hilarious.
So
just,
good.
Yeah.
That
Oh my
montage,
god.
especially when it ends and he's like, and now look at my face.
Yeah.
And
I
that's
can't
what
even go
brings
to
us back
public.
to White Castle. Is like,
And then what's funny is like he gets drunk, and then like we go to that scene of like that I'm better than you. I actually don't think Nick is better, or Connie is better than him at all. And
He's the same person as him.
they're the same people. It's just like Connie has hustles and has more motivation, quote unquote, and this other guy is just wants to drunk and vibe, get drunk and vibe and get fucked up.
Right, and the other guy's made a
they're
bunch
not
of money.
good people, but
so,
yeah. And then also the security guard that they fed a bunch of acid to, like what the fuck?
Permanent brain damage for sure.
Yeah, permanent brain damage. That is the guy from Captain Phillips. He's from the meme "I'm the Captain."
I'm the
now.
captain now.
Oh no shit!
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's the same actor. Yep. Yeah. So
Which he's actually Somalian.
Dude, I immediately had a visceral reaction when that happened. Like, oh my god, no fucking way!
Yeah.
Like immediately
that was
just like,
yeah. That was the most
Just the-
memorable thing I think about the whole movie to me was I was like, this is the movie with the Sprite acid.
yeah, just the hilarity of that. Like, I feel so bad for him, but yeah, beat the shit out of him, took his clothes, and then fed him a bunch of fucking acid. He wakes up, surrounded by police, gets thrown in
Can't
an
speak.
ambulance. Oh my god. I mean, it's just creative screenwriting. It's so good.
we also
Yeah.
haven't talked
Creative
about how
screenwriting.
Connie thinks that he was a dog in another life and believes in
Yeah.
reincarnation.
Oh my god, the dog whisperer, where he goes into the apartment and like,
Right, and
that
was
dog
able to like
obviously
use the
hates
scent.
everybody else. And,
Right, he
yeah.
uses the scent of the coat to like win the dog's affection and uses him as a bodyguard, as like a plot device throughout the film. Like, Cole, did you notice what he was drinking too? Ray was drinking it. What it looked like? Was that cognac or was he drinking a bottle of Blanton's? I felt it was like a bottle.
So that was I was trying to figure out. When
I thought it was
first
Blanton's
saw it,
personally,
it looked
but-
like Blanton's.
Yeah,
but
my
it
first
had
thought was
like
Blanton's,
a
too.
slightly red hue, but I think that was the lights behind it. So I'm pretty sure it was just Blanton's.
I think so too. And that looking a nice enough apartment that Blanton would be the first thing he would grab. Like he would grab nice. Because he was drinking brandy in the liquor store, so he likes brown liquor already. So that makes sense, right? These are the things we talk about in movie reviews.
Nice apartment. Wish I had a place like this.
Yeah, I mean, that was a nice apartment. That was a nice
It
apartment.
was a nice one.
It was very
a good
high
deal.
up too.
Also, it's right. Well, as soon
Very.
as that final scene, right? I
That
knew
guy
he was
fell
falling,
a
right?
while.
Because he was
Oh, yeah,
wasted.
he's
right?
dead.
He was
For
just
sure.
like
Oh, yeah.
drunk,
That guy fell
drunk as a
a
skunk.
while.
I felt bad
Why,
for
why
him.
the
though.
fuck would you think about doing that anyway? I mean, I know you
Cops,
might
he didn't
go
wanna
back to prison.
jail, man. He jumped out of a
Yeah.
car
He was
instead
on
of going back to jail.
Xannies?
He was
He wasn't
already
thinking
He was
like,
on
oh yeah, I'm gonna be
Xanax.
dead. Yeah.
He was drunk. He was taking
Yeah.
oxys the whole time too.
Yeah. I mean, like no
The
one,
man
no one
thought
in
he
that,
was Neo.
yeah, no one in that situation ever thinks I'm gonna die here, right?
I'm gonna
Like,
fall off a fucking building.
well, and that's like I one thing I appreciated again. I like the slice of life and I like the realistic portrayal. Is like in that situation, usually in films, that guy shimmies over to the next window and it's just miraculously unlocked and he walks in and escapes the cops and stuff. But
Not
in
this time.
film, it's exactly what would happen in real life. Some
Yeah.
drunk,
You said it, buddy.
asshole climbs out trying to think he's going to escape from the cops because by God, I'm not going to go back to prison. And then he just slips and falls, 10 stories to his fate. So
Any movie details, Soapbox, Cole?
I want a
Anything,
movie detail real quick. Do you know who the final singer was on the final soundtrack? Yeah, and probably
Iggy Pop.
let you
Iggy
know.
Pop.
It's Iggy Pop.
Yeah.
I know you all know
Hell
this, but
yeah.
we didn't say it yet. We literally haven't said his name, but Iggy Pop was the guy. Pulled a Johnny Cash singing some Nine Inch Nails and Hurt. That was so good. Go
really
go
good.
listen to this soundtrack, guys. What is it? Ononotrix?
Yeah.
Is that right? Correct?
Yeah.
Ononotrix,
Yep.
Point Never, and Iggy Pop. Phenomenal.
Definitely.
Yeah, this soundtrack is very good. I wanted to talk about kind of that ending scene, which is, we'll see this again from A24, and it happened in films 100 years ago as well. Your closing actors and credits and everything are going to roll while important things are still happening behind it. And what's happening behind this one is you might miss a track with, a central theme to this movie has been authenticity and grittiness and realness, and who embodies that more than Iggy Pop himself, and who better to sing this kind of track that encompasses a lot of what this movie is about. So it made a huge impact on me just listening to those lyrics, especially with the background of the crossing the line. If this has ever happened to you, that's such a emotional, and that can be such a good group therapy session situation. And you see Nick recognizing and starting to process some of these things that have happened to him. It's just like all chef's kisses to this finish. But to quote some of the lyrics that are sung by Iggy Pop, he starts the song asking love to make the singer clean and to cure him. The chorus is the pure and the damned act from love. He opens it up and says, every day I think about untwisting and untangling these strings I'm in, and to lead a pure life. I look ahead at a clear sky. Ain't gonna get there, but it's a nice dream. After this, he asks death to make him brave and to leave him swinging. I take that as let him fight. Then he lets us know that the truth is an act of love. Someday we're going to get to a place where we can do everything we want and we can pet crocodiles. For me, I interpret that as the predators are going to stop preying on us. We're going to live a life without danger. And that is then central to this idea of probably, and it's so like a background story, just kind of like the grandmother and the family system that these brothers come from. The background story is that they're going to get this money probably from the heist so that they can run away to Virginia. However, if you ask Connie's girlfriend, that money is so that they can go to the Bahamas or something, right? So
Yeah,
I'm not
he
really
was
sure
lying
who
to
that
her
money
for
was
sure.
for, but
Yeah.
the
No,
hope
he was.
and
I
the
think he
wish
was lying
is
to
that
her,
this-
and I think he did actually want to get away with his brother because I think blood is thicker than water. He's gonna
Yeah.
go with his blood.
Well, it's an act.
Yeah.
It's an act of love, and I mean, like this. I see Connie as the damned, right?
Yeah.
I see Nick as the pure, and I think that the fact that he is mentally disabled in the way that he is kind of gives us that depiction of him. Even though he is there helping to rob a bank at the beginning and is caught, it's really not something that he's doing intentionally, you know? So I don't know. It's beautiful. And he's just doing it because he loves his brother. They're both doing this because they love each other. I don't know.
But
It's
I also think you
beautiful.
can love your family member and still be kind of a self-serving asshole. You know, like you can be
No,
like,
like,
you know,
absolutely, that's
gonna
what I'm
be a-
saying.
yeah, I'm doing this to help myself. Yeah, it's, you know, like I love you and I want to help you, but like I do want to like help myself a lot here too, and I am going to manipulate you a little bit,
Yeah.
and hopefully we both come out better
Right.
on the other end.
And how much of
But-
that self-image
Yeah.
is served by the idea that, oh, I'm taking care of my disabled brother, so look at me. I feel like there's a
Yeah.
lot of that in his character. Like, Connie feels that he is the righteous one because he loves his brother who has a problem. He doesn't abandon him. He doesn't leave him to the streets. He is there for his family, and therefore he is better than everyone else. But in reality, he's just the same exact thing. And I think that's the handicap that he's taking. And there's so many people in real life that I can imagine doing that exact same thing, taking advantage of having a disabled individual for your own good, even if you know it or not. This movie's so real.
Or taking
So
something
real.
that, like a situation that they themselves put themselves in and using that to be the victim, or using that to be the reason that you're a real martyr, and like
Right.
rewriting your story in a way that is very apparent to everybody else, but to you, everyone thinks that they're the good guy, right?
I wanted to
And I
answer
also
your
think that
question.
Connie's-
sorry. Go
yeah.
on, finish. No, finish.
Connie's a character who might be incapable of providing love that's anything other than toxic, but
yeah, but he
that-
still thinks it's
he's-
good love. Yeah,
exactly.
You
and I
asked
think
Eric
that there's a lot of
about
Yeah.
that last scene, right? That the one where he was looking at in the cop car and what his thoughts were. And I was a little opposite of what Eric said. I thought that he actually, what you said, option A was that he realized that he had to take all of the fall and all of the accountability for this. That everything that happened was because of him, and it fell into where he is right now. All of the running, all of the excuses, all of the jiving, all of the con manning, all of it resulted in him in cuffs in the back of a car that he couldn't escape. And I think that face is that realization. I have to just accept it for what it is. I am here, and now I have to deal with it. At least that was my interpretation, and I just wanted to answer that because I think it's just my way of taking it.
I think he cares about what he did to his brother. I don't think he cares about what he did to the security guard, to the 16-year-old girl, to that Ray like fell out of a freaking off a building. I don't think he cares about any of those people. I think he cares about what he did to his brother though, and that is he took the fall for his brother in the end, or he told the judge like
I want to disagree. I want to say that seeing a man fall to his death that you know that you were directly responsible for in every single way, you literally stole him from a hospital bed and put him in that situation. He knows that for a fact. He knows that, and he watched that man die. There's no way. I
didn't see anything on his face though. He was probably thinking. about. I didn't see a lot of remorse about that guy on his face.
I think that Connie absolutely had empathy for all of those people in those moments. In that moment, how can you not? Holy shit! I mean,
Connie
guess
always had the opportunity to turn himself in and get his brother out of jail, though.
You're right,
but he didn't want to take that method.
He just wanted to keep going. You're right. I just wanted to believe in him, I guess.
I know. He manipulated you.
That's the point of the movie, though, right? Isn't that the question? Do you support the character? Yes or no? Morality question. Christ.
A last camera shot, too, of him in the back of the cop car. Kind of reminiscent of the end of The Graduate. And, this is our generation where, in the back of a cop car with bars in front of us, and the end of The Graduate is, two people really realizing the hippie counterculture of avoiding your responsibilities isn't what it's all cracked up to be. Comments on two different generations. I'm just kidding. That's complete bullshit. Don't listen to me.
Jesus, that's like the final thing we're going off of. The Graduate.
Yeah, so with that said, that's a really strong way to end this discussion of this movie, Good Time. So if you guys, or audience, if this is your first time listening, I'd like you to know that we do this really cool thing around here. And that is we ask you to rate and subscribe. But also we end our podcasts by asking ourselves how we'd rate the movie. So we use a grading scale, A through F with an E included, with a 24 at the end. Get it? A24. We're clever. So the first person that is going to leave the final review and rating on Good Time for this episode will be Cole.
So, as the resident slice of life and Robert Pattinson stan, this film really set me up for success. I think overall, I really liked this film. I did not have any major soapbox experiences watching this. Really, my main issue was during the hospital scene with the way that they maybe treated some people. They had certain sounds and effects that weren't applicable to the situation, and then the use of butterfly bandages instead of stitches would not happen in a hospital, but that is a very minute point. Overall, I think this film succeeded extremely well at its task of giving me very high anxiety as a person that already deals with high anxiety and stress throughout the day with work and life and everything. Watching this film really took it to me, but in a way that I enjoyed. I really enjoyed the way that Robert Pattinson's character Connie navigated all of these scenarios and situations that in just quick succession. He always had a response, always knew what to do, he had been there before, clearly a very smart individual that can think on his feet and knew exactly how to manipulate the people in the scenario, and to a point where he had the sociopathic type tendencies or narcissistic tendencies where he knew how to use a person's goodness or morality against them. And in a way, I did not like that, but I loved the portrayal and the following of this character and almost making him seem like the hero. And we talked about the ending where he sees the guy fall to his death. I honestly thought in that situation that he was going to use that dude's death in distraction of the police officers to escape. That's where my mind went. It was this guy is going to use this poor man's death to his advantage, because that's what I'd seen throughout the whole film. And obviously a little harder to escape from a police officer's backseat than just opening the door when they're distracted. But I really enjoyed this film. I think they did a lot of very cool things. The cinematography is amazing. Robert Pattinson, I really love him as an actor. I am surprised I haven't seen this film before, and I'm extremely happy that we're doing this podcast for situations like this where I get to watch films that I have not seen and have not heard a lot about, and I'm saddened that this one hadn't gotten the recognition that it deserves. I will say that I definitely had the most visceral reaction to when they dumped the acid of the Sprite bottle full of acid into that dude's mouth, and because my God, that poor soul, he just his brain has to just be gone. Wake it up, and after all of that, like seeing a dude fall off a building compared to that is nothing. Like, I feel more for that guy than the guy that lost his life. But overall, I think this is a fantastic film. I think pretty much everyone should watch this. It gives you a glimpse into the life of the less fortunate and shows you maybe some of the tendencies of people that don't have the best intentions for you, even if they are family, to be aware of and understand the implications that may happen. I'm going to give this a solid A24. I really liked it, and I think it deserves a lot of praise, and I really wish it got more recognition. And I hope that maybe, this podcast gets it. And, Robert Pattinson, I know you're listening. Come on, just hit me up. Let me know that you want to be on. We're more than welcoming. We'll let you on for sure.
We won't talk about the T word.
Yeah. We don't like vampires around here, except for your Robert Edgar's Nosferatu. Then we'll be talking.
Hell yes. All right, I'm going next. Try to stop me, anyone. Hold me back. Okay. Here's my review of Good Time by me, Kelly. On initial viewing, I found this movie to be exhausting. This, I think, is both a good and a bad thing, meaning that of all the movies we've watched distributed by A24 in chronological order, the cinematography in this one, Good Time, is the most impactful to me personally. By that I mean it's very heavy with the close shots, and a lot of the center of action happens in the middle of the screen. This kind of created tunnel vision for me, in addition to the fact that the soundtrack, while gorgeous and perfectly thematic, it becomes deafening at many, many times. Like my other co-host, I too am a person with anxiety, so I'm already functioning at a certain level when movies do this to me. Sometimes it can just be a little too much. I get a little overstimulated and I want to run away. So this is, I think, good and bad thing. Why do I say this is good? I think it's exactly what it's supposed to do. I think that, like Eric said, you get strapped in for this movie and taken for a ride. I think it's completely intentional. I think it's artistically and accurately done. So for all of that, I have to give it all the points, right? It physically impacted me. My body is tense while I watch this movie, and that's what they want from me. That's what's happening to every character in the movie. So this is one that I truly am experiencing with all my senses. I can even smell New York City when I watch it. So what I also want to talk about the cinematography. I want to open it up in my review outside of that, but I really think that that is the biggest takeaway for this movie for me, is the cinematography itself is just like crazy. But outside of that, Pattinson's got this crazy performance. I think at times I find it even like over the top. I think that his character is supposed to be as well, though, so it's not necessarily a bad thing. Out of the movies we've watched so far as well, this is the one I'm most curious what our characters in the movie would be up to if we had a sequel. I want to see what happened to them and where they ended up. And I want to see that Nick is doing well and that his community is supporting him personally. It pulls a lot of emotions out of me, and I think that movies should leave thoughts in your head. They should leave emotions in your heart, and not only is this anxiety-inducing, but it gives me this weird feeling of hope throughout the movie. It gives me a feeling of despair, and it gives me a feeling of confusion. Do I really want this corrupt guy who's causing all of this pain and misery behind him in his path to win? And what does win mean for him? Like, it still means more of that kind of same path of destruction. So on my second view, I probably didn't want him to win, but on my third view, maybe I'll want him to win again. I think that the authenticity in this movie is really important, not only to our characters, to the commentary that our directors are trying to make, but it's kind of just like this respect for the lifestyles that they're actually portraying. And I think that it's completely necessary. Shooting on scene is a huge selling factor. This movie would be totally different if everything was a set, if all of these actors in the background were like beautiful, unrealistic looking people. These are real looking people in our backgrounds. And that kind of authenticity, like when we were talking about Green Room, is a very authentic seeming movie too. And both of these movies are very gritty as well. And I think that it's not only a personal taste of mine that I'm kind of liking, but I'm realizing that there's a reason for it, and it leaves a really more poignant aftertaste for me when these movies are done. I need longer to almost digest it because it feels like something that could have happened. And I like that Freshly, in this kind of thriller with a guy who kind of goes on a rampage and justifies almost like a revenge tale. Not that Connie's doing a revenge, but that's a common thing in a thriller. You kind of have like a sociopath. You're almost rooting for them to like kill people and be violent, and it's over the top and all this, but this was way more real. And just like that too, it doesn't glorify the fact that Connie is a little bit psycho, a little sociopathic, narcissistic, etc., etc. It's not, I'm not his therapist, but he needs one. And maybe in prison he'll get one. So that's also the hope and despair. You think hopefully something good will happen for him getting caught in this way, but the despair is probably it's just more of the same. It's a never-ending cycle, and maybe he's been there before, maybe he hasn't. They leave that open-ended. For me, this movie's almost perfect. Here's what takes it away for me. It's too much. I need a rest in the middle of this movie at some point. At some point, I need a moment while the movie's still on to take it in. Give me a few areas with intentional breaths, and I think that's the only thing for me that could improve this movie. Give me some areas to contemplate. That's what I would ask, I think, of the directors, but they don't have to listen to me. And it only is going to take them down half a letter grade in my eyes. A-24. Thanks for letting me talk so long. Eric or Kevin, I'll let you two fight over who goes next.
All right. Well, Cole is the resident slice of life guy and Robert Pattinson fan. I'm the resident slut of life guy and Robert Pattinson ham. All I ask in a film is that you make me think, you make me feel, and you use your fucking camera in a thoughtful way that progresses the moods and feelings of a film. That's pretty fucking simple, right, guys? And the Safdie brothers do this in spades. The first time I saw Robert Pattinson in any film was The Lighthouse, funny enough. It actually wasn't Twilight. It was The Lighthouse. I didn't even watch, like, the later Harry Potter films. So I actually went back and watched every Twilight film when I had COVID 2 years ago because I loved him so much in The Lighthouse. And then I watched Good Time. And I think I'm convinced that he's probably one of the top 3 best actors in Hollywood right now. Like, he is the best movie star, in my opinion, too, since Tom Cruise. Think about it. He's in so many awesome indie films, and then he's also in Batman, Harry Potter, and Twilight. He covers all the bases. He's fucking awesome. So this leads me to my scale of ratings. I can't give this an A+24. I've given Moonlight and Ex Machina A+, and I can't put it up there with them. Films I've given A's and A- to: Most Violent Year, The Witch, Room, 20th Century Woman, I all gave an A. Enemy, Krisha, It Comes at Night, and Green Room, all an A-. And I gotta say, it would have originally fallen on the A- scale, because I kind of agree a little bit with Kelly. Like, I wish it gave me a little bit more to think about, but then it gets the Robert Pattinson bump. Some people have other bumps. I have the Robert Pattinson bump because I love this guy so much. It's going to get an A for me. A24.
All right.
Nice and succinct, too. Good job. I wish I could keep my reviews like that. Short and energetic.
No shit. Here's the pressure for me, right? So here's the segue. I know I call myself K-Con in the intro, but in high school, I went by a different nickname, and that was Connie. Konchek, Connie, etc. So my nickname in high school hockey and just whatever, Connie was always the nickname, one way or another. So I felt a super kindred to this movie, I guess, because of that small fact alone. I alluded to it in the intro. I didn't watch this with any sort of predetermined notion of what this film was going to be about. I knew it involved Robert Pattinson, and I knew that it was a crime drama. And then I watched it, and man, what a trip. I mean, I honestly say that it was a trip. I mean, it was something from, it had peaks, it had valleys, it had starts, it had finishes, it had climaxes, it had all of these different things that you expect in a well-rounded film, and in some sort of weird trip. It was something that it had the music that gave a background to scenes that might not have been as impactful without it. It had actors that were so real it felt like they were improvising in a certain amount of time. It had direction from two brothers that had clearly a vision of what they wanted to see on the screen, and somehow were able to dictate that through amateur actors. And I'll say that because they street casted some people, and they were able to create something with a low budget that honestly has left an indelible mark on film, and certainly with me. They go on to have great success in A24 outside of this film, and it's probably directly because of the great success of this film. I think that for me personally, I really enjoyed a lot of the themes, a lot of the messages that they put out about family, about loyalty, about the desire to do anything possible to make sure that the people important in your life survive, and whether or not that was self-serving on the part of Connie to make sure that he survived versus, actually caring about his brother. That's up for the viewer to decide. And that's why you should probably rewatch this movie if you've seen it once. And if you haven't seen it and you're listening to this podcast, you probably should just watch it already, because this is a phenomenal film and it deserves all of the praise we're giving it and so much more. I wrote down in my notes at least 3 times, what are they thinking? Meaning I was looking at the character staring into the camera with nothing else happening other than some music or a blank stare. And it invited the viewer to ask the question, what are you thinking? If a movie can literally make me have a dialogue with myself as I'm watching it, they've had a success. Outside of the dialogue of, man, when's this going to end? Or can I look at my phone? If that's not happening, then you have done something brilliant. And they have put a way of making this tension feel so real. I cannot wait to see Uncut Gems. I cannot wait to continue to follow these two wonderful brothers as they go on and make more films into the future. I'm so happy I get to be part of this podcast because I get to watch great works of art like this that I never, ever, ever would have seen in a billion years outside of it. So thank you 1,000 times. A24 for me. Like Eric said, it's not on the top tier of these A24 movies for me. It did feel like it had a little bit of lag in the middle where I was kind of it's dragging in the simplicity of it, but I was made up for as I kind of digested the whole film. But A24, great film. Watch it. Awesome. That's it.
Woohoo! I haven't seen Uncut Gems yet, so I definitely am looking forward to that, having seen this. Yay. Plus, I love Adam Sandler being a serious role. Punch Drunk Love's one of my faves, so I want to see something like that. Audience, are you still listening? Thanks so much. We really appreciate you listening to our little podcast, and we love you, and we'd love if you would show us some love and maybe give us a rating if you liked what you heard. Give us some feedback regardless, and we're on all the socials, so follow us, talk to us, and we would love to interact with you. Thanks again for listening so much. Have a great rest of your day or night or whatever the heck you're doing. Peace and love.
Lower class white people jammed into my mouth over and over again, and I have to swallow it.
A24.